Welcome into the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're coming to you from the Lee Company Studios here on West 7th Street in Columbia. We'll be here for the next couple of hours talking to you about local, regional, and national sports topics. So stick around as we get ready to get out and cover some high school football tonight. Week 1 of the high school football season in Tennessee gets going tonight. Wade will be up in East Franklin for Giles County and Page. I will be in Thompson Station for Oakland and Independence, and should be a couple of pretty good matchups there, and you can see more about those probably by the end of tonight in the Pulaski Citizen and on Main Street Murray. But, be sure and get out to a high school football game somewhere tonight. The weather's going to be great. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of great ball, and it's that time. It's time.
Yeah, like you said, can't ask for really better weather. Consider it's still in the month of August, and these guys have been working hard. These teams have been going at it all summer, all spring, and tonight is kind of that reward, that first dose of Friday Night Lights, and a lot of good matchups across the state, and especially here in the Mid-State this evening.
Yeah, we'll be talking a little bit more about that here in just a second. As the show moves along, though, we will be visiting in the second hour with TURRON Davenport of ESPN, covers the Tennessee Titans for them. He's headed to NOLA. I'm a little jealous. Headed to New Orleans this weekend to check out the Titans and Saints in the final preseason game. That will be on Sunday down there. In the next segment, we will be joined by Nashville Sounds pitcher Craig YOHO, and I'm excited to talk to this guy. And I don't want to divulge too much about why, but we'll get into that, like I said, in the next segment. So we'll also be talking some Braves, pleasantly, surprisingly. Talking a little Astros, getting back to where they're supposed to be. Little college basketball, a little college football, a little professional football, among other things. And again, it is a weekend update. We will take a look at what's going on here between now and Monday. So stick around. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be an action-packed show. And again, producer Mark, as he has been warning us all week, has warned us once again, the rundown is a bit oppressive, for lack of a better phrase. So let's go ahead and get to yesterday's results and this weekend schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
I want to remind you guys that Friday rundowns are brought to you by our friend Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The Blue Raider Voice also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. So contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or visit his website at choosechip.net. That's Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee, sponsoring today's rundown.
High school football got started last night over on the campus of Lipscomb Academy with Jason Williams in attendance. It has been confirmed. And we did get photographic evidence, but I also did get it confirmed from Mustangs coach Jamie Graham. The former NBA standout, White Chocolate, was in attendance.
He was there. Theo Vaughn was there. I mean, Lipscomb's got it going on these days. Apparently. And other than the score,
it's a good night.
Good night for the Mustangs, yeah.
Other absolutely. Than the score, as First Academy of Florida came in and picked up a 28-23 win in Graham's debut. Unfortunately, hate that for the former Whites Creek and Vanderbilt standout, but he'll get his soon enough. Providence Christian over at MTSU defeated Eagleville 14-6. It was Shelbyville with a 34-22 road win at Siegel, and Portland on the Main Street Media Thursday night football game of the week. Did I get it right?
I think we nailed it.
That's pretty close.
That's pretty solid. That's good enough for you and I for sure.
Solid game for the radio crew there as the Panthers come out with a 21-20 win over BDP. Volleyball action on Thursday. Independence with a 3-1 win over Blackman. It was Franklin Grace 3, Columbia Academy nothing. Eagleville with a 3-0 win over Forest. It was Providence Christian again defeating Franklin Road Academy 3-0. Gallatin 3-0 over Westmoreland. It was Stewart's Creek 3, Laverne nothing. Middle Tennessee Christian 3. Webb of Bell Buckle nothing. Murfreesboro Central 3, Cannon County nothing. Siegel with a 3-1 win over Page, and it was Lebanon 3, Smyrna nothing.
To the girls soccer scoreboard we go. BGA knocking off Webb School 5-1 last night. Loretto turning back Battle Creek 2-1 was your tally there. Overton of 1-0 victory versus Clarksville Northeast. It was Columbia Central 2, Blackman 1. Culleoka with a 6-2 win over Columbia Academy. Lebanon 2, Cookville 2. Giles County defeating Cornersville last night in Pulaski. 8-0 was your tally there. Davidson Academy 9, Antioch 0. Innsworth picked up a 4-3 win versus Brentwood. It was Middle Tennessee Christian versus Ezell Harding, and Middle Tennessee Christian 9, Ezell Harding 0. Fairview was a 3-0 winner versus Murfreesboro Central Magnet. It was Franklin 4, Father Ryan 1. Hendersonville with 5-1 win over Nolansville. Henry County 2-1 versus Dixon County. Lawrence County on top of Hickman County. 6-1 was your tally there. Independence and Gallatin played to a 1-1 draw. It was McEwen 3, Kenwood 0. Franklin County defeating Lead Academy 3-1. Couple more scores here as we'll wind things down. Wilson Central defeating Laverne 5-0. MLK with a 2-0 victory over Liberty Creek last night.
Also, it was McGavock 9, Stratford 0, Merrill Heights 6, West Creek 0, Oakland 7, Riverdale 0. Providence Christian with a 1-0 victory over Franklin Road Academy. Richland blanked Marshall County 4-0. Good Pasture double up Smith County 2-1. Stewart's Creek with a 6-0 win over Smyrna. It was Friendship Christian 2, St. Cecilia 0. Summit with 5 goals and an assist from Summer Riley down Station Camp 6-0. Sycamore with a 1-0 win over Portland. It was Valor Collegiate 2, Hillsboro 1. Spring Hill and Warren County played to a 2-2 draw. Harpeth downed Waverly 9-0. Watertown with a 3-0 win over White County. It was White House 8, White House Heritage 0, and Donaldson Christian 5, Zion Christian 1. On the Major League Baseball Diamonds, Houston opens its series against Baltimore with a 6-0 victory over the spiraling Orioles. We'll talk more about that game later in the show, as we will this one. Atlanta with a 3-2 win over Philadelphia at Truist Park to take that series 2-1. Who'd have thought? At First Horizon Park, it was the Nashville Sounds 2, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp 1. And in WNBA action, the New York Liberty continue to roll 79-71 over the Dallas Wings.
Buckle up, folks. First Friday night scoreboard or schedule of the season for high school football, and we begin as such. Ravenwood is on the road at Alcoa tonight. Knoxville Webb is at BGA. It's Blackman who's at Brentwood this evening. Mount Juliet traveling to Cane Ridge. Montgomery Central visiting Clarksville tonight. Ezell Harding is at DCA. Creekwood taking on Dixon County on the road tonight. It'll be Pope John Paul II at East Nashville. Liberty Creek at East Robertson. East Hickman, who's at Fairview tonight. Watertown is at Forest. It'll be Fort Campbell, Kentucky playing host to Clarksville Northwest. Centennial is on the road this evening at Franklin. The Tennessee Heat are at Franklin Christian. Clarksville Academy, who's at Friendship Christian tonight. Stratford is visiting Glencliff this evening. Evangelical Christian at Good Pasture. Clarksville Northeast, who's at Green Hill tonight. It'll be Springfield at Greenbrier. White House Heritage is at Harpeth tonight. Gallatin, who's at Hendersonville. Hickman County is at Houston County. Maplewood traveling to Hunters Lane this evening. It'll be Oakland at Independence. Kip of Memphis will take on Innovation Academy. Interviewed members of their coaching staff just a couple of weeks ago on this program as they get cranked up tonight. Father Ryan is at John Overton. Franklin Road Academy is at Kenwood this evening. Sycamore is at Kirkwood. Cheatham County will be at Lawson. Antioch is at Lebanon. Richland will play at Lincoln County. That game can be heard on Pulaski Citizen Live. Visit PulaskiCitizen.com and click on PCL to catch that one tonight.
Also, Collinwood is at Loretto tonight, 7 o'clock kickoff. Pearl Cone is over at Montgomery Bell Academy. Columbia Central travels to Marshall County. It's Joe Burns at McEwen. Hillsborough is at McGavock. Columbia Academy goes to Middle Tennessee Christian. And this says 6 o'clock, but I don't think that's accurate. Check your local listings. Republic is at Mount Juliet Christian. That one is at 7 o'clock. Also, Wayne County travels to Mount Pleasant at 7. Nashville Christian hosting Davidson Academy. Giles County is at Page at 7. You can hear it. Can you see it?
No video, audio only, baby.
Audio only
Trust
on
us.
Pulaski Citizen Live. Visit PulaskiCitizen.com and click on the PCL.
Tiny plug, though, my TV 30 will be broadcasting tonight. Lucas Panzica and the crew will be. So multimedia tonight.
What you want to do is sync up the audio and the video, right?
You know, I don't want to ever really steer folks away from PCL, but yeah, if you're going to do it, we'd appreciate the courtesy. You know, pull up the video feed, pull it up on your TV, and then dial us up on your sound device.
There you go. Nolensville's at Rockville at 7. Riverdale goes to Smyrna. Beach is at Station Camp. Stewart's Creek hosting Tullahoma. Lawrence County is at Summertown. Spring Hill goes to Summit. Laverne is at West Creek. Memphis Wooddale is at Whites Creek. And Rossview is at Wilson Central. On Saturday, Brentwood Academy is at Christ Presbyterian Academy. That one is also a MyTV 30 game. And Westmoreland is at Macon County. In volleyball action today, little bonus, UT Southern and Bethel play at 6 o'clock on the Firehawks campus in Pulaski.
Home opener tonight, yeah.
Home opener tonight. High school action, 4:30, Culleoka is at Mount Pleasant. Gulf Shores of Alabama plays Blackman, not sure where. Loretto and Siegel play at 6. Zion Christian plays at Franklin Classical at 6. Montgomery Catholic of Alabama and Blackman play at 8. Also at 8 at Summit and Cleveland. Cleveland and Siegel. McMinn County and Siegel. All of these can't be at 8 o'clock. But anyway, Lawrence County and Loretto are also playing later this evening.
Could be some sort of tournament classic type situation. Yeah,
not sure where.
Multi-type deal there. On to Saturday we go. Grace Christian Knoxville is at taking on Rockville at 9 a.m. Again, a lot of these could be neutral sites, so check your local listing. Summertown at Middle Tennessee Christian. Good Pasture taking on Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Boyd Buchanan versus Stewart's Creek at 10 a.m. DCA versus Stewart's Creek. May Jemison versus Blackman also at 10 a.m. It's Gallatin at Middle Tennessee Christian. Green Hill versus Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Eagleville versus Riverdale. Hardin Valley versus Siegel. Franklin Road Academy at the Webb School to close the 10 o'clock games. Singular 11 o'clock contest as Gallatin takes on Rockvale. Noon first touch for Pelham, Alabama versus Blackman. Stewart's Creek versus Eagleville. It'll be Rockvale and Middle Tennessee Christian hooking up there. Boyd Buchanan versus Riverdale. Also at 1 p.m. or later that afternoon, whichever comes first. DCA versus Riverdale. Now into 2 o'clock action. Eagleville versus Boyd Buchanan. Grace Christian Knoxville at Middle Tennessee Christian. Summertown versus Rockvale. 3 o'clock start times for Riverdale versus Stewart's Creek. DCA versus Eagleville. Gallatin is going to be partaking in the Cougar Classic. Don't know versus who. Don't know when or where, but just know that they're going to be playing this weekend, folks. And also Loretto, same script. They're going to be taking on an opponent still to be determined at this moment. On the pitch, Rockvale and Siegel started a half an hour ago over at Siegel. 3 o'clock start for Grace Christian out of Franklin and Chattanooga Christian. Also, Clarksville Northwest and McMinn County are playing at 4:50. At 5:30, Knoxville Webb is at Battleground Academy. At 6:40, Clarksville and Dobbins Bennett will face off. At 7, Rossview is at Christ Presbyterian Academy. University School of Jackson and Page will play at 8:30. Also at 8:30 at South Oldham of Kentucky and Pope John Paul II, which, by the way, they have reverted to that. They are no longer Pope Prep. So taking it back to the old school.
because I'm an old fool.
That's exactly right. Easy now.
Saturday soccer. Lexington and East Robertson will play at 9 o'clock in the morning. Also at 9 a.m. it's Clarksville Northwest and Carnes. Franklin Grace and Mount Juliet will play at 9. At 10:50, it's Harpeth Hall and Stewart's Creek. At 12:40, it's Clarksville and Walker Valley. Also, it's Mount Juliet and Chattanooga Christian at 2:30. At 2:30, Calvary Christian of Kentucky and East Robertson. Davies County of Kentucky and Franklin Grace will play at 2:30. Also, South Oldham of Kentucky and Page at 2:30. At 4 o'clock, at 4:20, it's Clarksville Northwest and Christian Academy of Knoxville. Also, Bartlett and Pope John Paul II. At 6:10, Harpeth Hall and Dobbins Bennett will play. And at 8 o'clock, it's Stewart's Creek and Walker Valley.
Let's roll it into Sunday now, where we have East Robertson taking on Cosby at 9 a.m., Davies County, Kentucky versus Mount Juliet, Bartlett and Page also at 9, as well as McCracken County, Kentucky versus Pope John Paul II. 10:50, Clarksville versus Stewart's Creek. Also at 10:50, Frederick Douglass, Kentucky versus Harpeth Hall. That bumps us now into the Major League Baseball schedule. Buckle up. We begin this evening at 6:05 on MLB Network, also on MLB TV. It'll be the Astros at the Orioles at 6:20 on Valley Sports South. You can see the Nationals who are at the Braves. Those matchups continue into Saturday. Astros and Orioles beginning at 3:05. Local TV there. 6:20 the Braves on Valley Sports South. Sunday, get going a little earlier as the Nationals and Braves are on Roku at 11:05. And it'll be Sunday night baseball between the Astros and the Orioles. First pitch comes your way on ESPN at 10 o'clock.
Tonight at 6:35 at First Horizon Park, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp and the Nashville Sounds continue their series. 6:35 tomorrow night as well before the series finale at 6:05 on Sunday evening. WNBA action tonight. All these games are on ION, and they are regional telecasts apparently because 3 of them are at 6:30. It's the Sparks and the Mystics, the Sky and the Sun, and the Mercury and the Dream, all playing at 6:30. So just turn on ION and see what shows up. But at 8:30, it appears everyone will get, and well, they should, the Aces and the Lynx. Saturday, 6 o'clock, it's the Connecticut Sun and the New York Liberty. No TV for that one, apparently, and that's not good. But at 7 o'clock on NBA TV, you've got the Indiana Fever and the Minnesota Lynx. On Sunday, 11 o'clock a.m. on CBS, it's the Las Vegas Aces at the Chicago Sky. And at 3 on NBA TV, it's the Sparks and the Wings. Major League Soccer returns this weekend to Geodis Park as the Austin Football Club comes into town taking on BJ Callahan and the Nashville Soccer Club. Again, that's a 7:30 start. You can see it on Apple TV. And finally, Sunday, 1 o'clock on the NFL Network, it's the Titans and the Saints. Again, we will be talking to TURRON Davenport a little bit more about that one later in the show. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Real quickly, to you by Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available until 6 o'clock, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Someone made the mistake in Memphis of stealing some shoes from a house that happened to belong to University of Memphis men's basketball coach, former University of Memphis and NBA legend Anthony Penny Hardaway. And not just a couple of pair of shoes, and not just, pick them up, stick them under your arms and run off. Per a Memphis police report, Ronald James was captured on camera earlier this month swiping 26 pairs of one-of-a-kind composite shoes that belong to the legend. and pushing the boxes in a shopping cart
Oh my.
near Penny's house. Foam Posite, made famous by Hardaway when he started for the Orlando Magic, is still popular today. And he and the iconic shoemaker still have a lucrative partnership. Bond has not been set. It's not clear when Mr. James will show up in court. And we don't know if the merchandise has been, retrieved or not. But
I got a lot of questions about this because presumably you're stealing custom or one of a kind, as we report here. How are you supposed to unload that? And
in Memphis,
I mean, yeah.
who's gonna take that?
That, and then, I mean, if you, heaven forbid, you even think about putting it on the internet. I mean, that's...
Sorry, not only am I not taking Penny's shoes from you, I'm calling the cops.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, this is a crime against the city of Memphis, practically. So, man, I got a lot of questions. And then, your plan is to get away in the shopping cart. No offense, but if you're breaking into a $4.25 million house,
There's no
expensive, but there's got to be some other items that I'm probably, he sounds like he's doing the supermarket sweep where he's just dumping things in the cart. I'm going for some bigger ticket items than 26 pair of shoes that are going to be extremely hard to unload.
I just don't think if I'm in Memphis, I'm stealing from Penny Hardaway.
I mean, that's a slap in the face right there. And
yeah, that's not good. That's our top story, brought to you by Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. Let's get to a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, we will be joined by the patient Nashville Sounds pitcher Craig YOHO, who has not been very patient this season, but has been with us, and we appreciate it. We'll be right back after this break. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
He shoots, and he scores!
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back into the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely, and we are joined now by Nashville Sounds pitcher Craig YOHO. And Craig, welcome to the show. We appreciate you kind of hanging out and waiting for us to kind of bang through that first segment. But man, I'm excited to get you on because the 8th round selection in the 2023 Major League Baseball draft out of Indiana University, Craig YOHO, who is already in AAA after starting this season in Single A. Man, do you know where you are right now?
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me. And yeah, this year's been kind of a whirlwind. Started out in High A up in Wisconsin, and now I'm here in Nashville. So it's been a great season so far.
Weather's a little bit different from Wisconsin in April to Nashville in August, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I've had to unpack all my beanies and thermal gear, and so I had to break out the tank tops to get some sun and stuff.
What is it that has allowed you to move so quickly, and has the pace of your movement, been what you expected, or how would you assess your progression to this point?
Yeah, I honestly, it's just been a lot of just leaning on what my strengths are, not trying to be somebody that I'm not, just sticking to what I do well and not trying to, compensate or anything like that. And then, it's still the same sport that I played when I was a little kid, when I was in high school, and whether, I'm in High A or whether I'm in AAA, it's the same game. And, there people hitting off me are playing the same sport as well. And so it's just not making the moments bigger than what they actually are, and just going out there, having fun and competing. And, that's what I'm great at. That's what I love to do. And just keeping it simple has really just helped me, keep a level head and stay focused. And, it's allowed me to move quickly. And, that's been a great blessing.
Craig, a lot of it seems like, staying within yourself and kind of being just obsessed with the moment. But I'm curious, what lessons have you learned through your various stops already this season from teammates, coaches, et cetera? What advice are you picking up as you go along?
Yeah, honestly, it's just it's been quick, and I've gotten to be with a lot of different teammates and coaches already this season, and the Brewers do a great job with all their coaches and their staff members, and so just kind of the message and like the things that they value from top to bottom are fairly the same, which makes it that much easier as you move through. It's like, when you move up a level, it doesn't all of a sudden change what they're trying to teach and preach. And, it gives you that, I guess, stability and kind of, what you're going to expect, and what they're going to expect of you. And so that's been really helpful. And just, working with guys and just kind of picking up on something that they do well, whether it's routine or, something with a pitch or, part of the game and managing it. And so just little things along the way is just talking shop with the guys in the bullpen or whatever it may be in the, in the clubhouse. So it's been great. And we have a great group of guys all throughout the org. So it's been a great help.
You obviously got to have a lot of confidence to be able to do what you're doing on a nightly basis. But I'm curious, as you've gone on, is there one particular moment that you can look back to at any point during this season and you're like, oh, yeah, something either switched, or that's when I realized, like, hey, I really have a shot to kind of make a career out of this thing? Kind of curious if there was one singular moment or if you've just been riding everything.
Honestly, it hasn't been one singular moment, which I think is a good thing, because it's just been like every outing I keep building on what I did well. And so, I don't try to, reinvent myself from one outing to the next, whether it's, good, bad, or in between. It's like, just take what's good and then just keep stacking those days. I know how cliche it sounds, but, it's not like all of a sudden one day I figured it out and now I'm super confident. It's just been a building step all throughout. When I started in High A versus now, I don't feel like I'm that much different, but it's just continuing to take the good that comes out of each outing and then just, continuing that on. As easy as it sounds, but it's not.
Craig YOHO, reliever for the Nashville Sounds, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. 38 appearances, all of those out of the pen this season at 3 different levels, as he said, with the Wisconsin Single A affiliate of the Midwest League, with Biloxi down in the Southern League, and 4 appearances with the Sounds. 3-1 with an earned run average of 0.76. That's solid.
Thank you.
What do you feel like? What is it that you do when you're doing what you do well?
Honestly, it's a lot of just making it easier on myself. So keeping runners off base that I can control. So walks, hit by pitches, and then, just challenge hitters, make them beat me. And then I have had the luxury of having great defense behind me in every level that I've been in. So just challenging hitters, and when they do put it in play, I know that my defense is going to make great plays behind me. And just that recipe has been great. It's been working, and it's going to continue to work at the highest level too. I'm going to have great defenders there, and just eliminating the stuff that I can control has really just made it easy on me and allowed me to strike a lot of guys out and keep runners off base, which keeps guys from scoring. So
90 strikeouts, 14 walks in 47 2/3 innings combined between AA and AAA. I strike a lot of guys out.
Yeah.
He strikes a lot of guys out. Yeah. As a Braves fan, I've watched Spencer Schwellenbach. I don't know how much baseball you get to watch that you're not playing at this point, but he kind of made a jump similar to yours as well from AA almost straight up to the majors. And early in the season, it was almost like he was throwing too many strikes, like he was around the zone too much. Has that ever been a concern for you? Is that a concern for you? How do you address that, if it is?
That's something that as a reliever, you kind of have a little different approach to each and every outing. Obviously with scouting reports, and I might only face 6 of the 9 hitters, or 3 of the 9 hitters in an outing. So Schwellenbach was a starter, so it's a little bit different approach. You're trying to keep pitch counts down, stuff like that. So coming out of the pen, obviously I'm trying to throw my best stuff. I'm trying to get hitters out as quick as possible and as soon as possible. So especially with my pitch arsenal, I have a lot of stuff that moves. And so even if it does end up in zone at a high clip, it's going to be moving on them. So it's not going to be, just a fastball down the middle. If it starts out down the middle, it might not even end up as a strike. So it's like, it's a little bit of, I guess, a safety blanket in a way where it's like I can attack the zone and know that like the damage is going to be limited for the most part. So, and then that's when my great defense behind me is going to make a play to pick me up. So it's just kind of puts me at ease when I'm pitching to, just challenge hitters and just see how well my stuff plays in the zone. And then obviously you adapt if, a guy's on a certain pitch and you go from there.
You've been out of the pen all this season and pretty much throughout your career with the Brewers organization. What is your background? I mean, were you a starter at Indiana, or how does a pitcher become a reliever at the professional level?
Yes, so I was a position player basically my first 4 years through college. Had injuries through college, had 2 elbow surgeries and a knee surgery, and got to the point where it was my 5th year of college. I hadn't really played a season yet, and I knew pro ball was my dream and playing in the big leagues, and I just knew I had to give my body a chance to get to the next level, and that was through pitching basically. So my last year at Indiana, I decided to be a pitcher and found a role in the bullpen, and I was coming in second inning sometimes, closing sometimes, just wherever the team needed me. And then the Brewers, took a chance on me in the 8th round, like you mentioned earlier, and the rest has kind of been history. So it's worked out, and I'm excited to embrace this role and maybe be a back end bullpen arm in the near future. So
How does that play to your advantage, Craig, the fact that you have not been a pitcher your whole life? I mean, your arm isn't necessarily the age of a lot of other pitchers your age because you were a position guy for most of your career, somewhat like Schwellenbach again.
Yeah, and that's been a huge help, I believe, personally, in developing pitches, because I don't have that, muscle memory from when I was, 15, trying to, that's just how I throw my curveball all my life, and I can't change that now. And so it's really helped me adapt very quickly and, shape my pitches, because everything's brand new. So it's really been, I guess, a blessing kind of in disguise. And like you said, like it's kind of like a fresh arm in a way too. So, if you really think about it, I've only thrown for 2 years now, rather than some guys, since they've been throwing since they were, 15, they might be, 10 years in on being a pitcher. So, and then also on the other end of the spectrum, it's like I was a hitter, so I know what hitters are looking for. I know, oh, he took that pitch, so, he's probably looking for this one now or whatever. So it's just kind of like helps me with that chess match that always happens between pitchers and hitters. And I kind of get a little glimpse behind the curtain on what they're thinking from my previous experience.
I was going to ask real quick. I wanted to ask Craig about that. There's really no maybe way to track this, but you earned freshman All-America honors in your 5th year of college. That has to be a record of some sort, right?
I would assume so.
Earning All-American honors, right?
Yeah, that's something that me and my buddies always joke about, and you'll see Indiana post about it and stuff like that too, which is funny. It always gives me a little laugh when I see that. I was a 23-year-old married man in college, and I was a freshman All-American. So, unfortunately, I probably took a spot away from a really good ball player. That was 17 or 18. But
cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Craig, as you talk about your development and your transition to pitching, do you feel like maybe that makes you a little bit more coachable as well, because you aren't, this is how I've thrown my curveball since I was 15? I mean, is there more of a blank slate there with you in terms of your development than maybe a lot of other guys in your position?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going into Indiana my first year. It was like I had threw a fastball. I had a pretty good arm, and so it was like, all right, well, obviously I need a secondary pitch and a third pitch after that. So worked with pitching coaches there and developed a curveball, and then I kind of ended up coming up with my changeup kind of on my own, and then like you said, it's a blank slate, so everything's basically on the table. This offseason I was able to add a cutter. Once I kind of got comfortable, and it's I haven't really used it much this season yet, but it's like something I always have in my back pocket whenever I do need it. And so I'm always open to new things, because it's like I'm not stuck in my routines, or I don't have my superstitions where it's like, oh, if this I don't do this today, I've been doing it for the past 10 years, I'm not gonna have a good outing or whatever. So that's kind of been nice, where it's just like I go out there, be athletic, have fun, compete, and the results will be themselves. So
yeah, as a reliever, obviously, as you said, you don't know when you're going in, you don't know if you're going in. Really kind of forces you to, one, be able to get ready quick, but also two, to really kind of be adaptable. Because you don't know. How does a reliever get ready when they don't know when they're going to go?
Yeah, that's a great point. They always say, like, if you're always ready, you don't have to get ready. So, obviously you try to move around in between innings, just, whenever your name does get called, and, hearing your name get called, there's always that little bit of adrenaline that hits, and that's usually enough to get most guys going down there. If you look at most relievers, we're kind of adrenaline junkies. So, when that's pretty much all we need, a little bit of that, maybe some caffeine before the game or something to keep you going. And then, you just go out there and do your thing, and playing baseball is fun. So it's like, when you got that combined with it, there's not much else you can ask for.
YOHO, you're up. Is that it? I mean, is that the way it goes pretty much?
Yeah. I mean, it's, hey, YOHO, you're in the game, or, hey, YOHO, start playing catch. And then it's like, once you hear your name, it's like, boom, like, all right, all my nervous system flicks on real quick. And then it's like, all right, it's go time. So you kind of joke around, have fun, and then it's like as soon as you hear your name, it's like, all right, time to go. It's time to go to work. So
now, what are you doing in the moments leading up to that? Are you watching the game? Are you watching their hitters, that kind of thing? Are you watching your pitchers and how they're approaching them? How does that work?
Absolutely. It's you watch certain hitters, and you kind of pinpoint like, okay, like, hey, he hit that pitch off of our starter, for a double in the gap. Like, that's good to know. You kind of just store that away, and then like, oh, okay, they're being really aggressive first pitch tonight. Like, let's maybe throw something like strike the ball first pitch to see if I can get them to chase. So it's just like little notes like that you kind of keep on up during the game, but like at the same time, like, you got to remember we're playing a game, so it's like there's a little bit of a middle ground there where it's like you want to have a little fun and hang out with the guys down there, but at the same time we're here to work, and so just keeping those little like notes in the back of your head, and then obviously you get the scouting report of like the next 3 hitters whenever you're getting up and getting hot. So the pitching coaches down there always do a great job of kind of getting you prepared for when you go into that position where it's like you might be bases loaded, nobody out. It might be a clean inning, so you just never really know the situation until it's up. So.
And I guess there's always a little bit of, he hit a fastball for a double, but he ain't hit my fastball, right?
Of course, yeah. You always got to have that little.
Craig YOHO of the Nashville Sounds joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Craig, we appreciate your time, man. And are you looking at another call up between now and the end of the year?
I try to not focus on any of that because it's out of my control. I'll just always, be where my feet are and do everything I can at the position I am. And, if the Brewers decide that's the best thing for the team to win, then absolutely I'll be looking forward to it and, do everything I can to help them. But, it's out of my control, and I can only get outs.
There we go.
Good answer.
Man, we appreciate it. And best of luck continuing to get out. And we'll be looking for you. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. Hey, when we continue on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we'll talk a little bit more baseball. We'll be talking a little bit about Spencer Schwellenbach. So stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company Studios after this.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
In 2011, Jason Hayward's fourth inning grand slam keyed a 5-run rally. Mike Minor struck out 6 in 5 innings, and Craig Kimbrell picked up his 40th save. Excuse me. As the last of 4 out of the bullpen, as the Braves won 5-4 at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. Kimbrell became the first rookie to post 40 saves, while Hayward and Chipper Jones each went 3 for 4 in the victory. That was this day in Braves history. More on Jason Hayward in a second. But again, anytime we can mention a local product in TDIBH, that's a good thing. And obviously, Mike Minor, the former Forest High School and Vanderbilt, stand out. Again, 6 strikeouts in 5 innings, picking up the victory there for the Braves. Mike Minor, who I ran into over the offseason, who apparently last year was his last year and has moved to, of all places, Knoxville.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, former Vandy boy.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen every day.
In Tennessee, obviously baseball means a little more to them now, so he's got to be careful because he's in enemy territory, to say the least.
To say the
Careful,
least.
big dog.
Yeah. As we mentioned, Atlanta with a 3-1 victory over Philadelphia last night to take that series in what really felt like playoff baseball. I mean, Atlanta wins game 1, 3-2? No, they won that one 3-1, I believe. Lost 3-2 on Wednesday, won 3-1 yesterday. I mean, low scoring affairs, well pitched affairs, timely hitting. Adam Duvall with a home run to kind of put things away for the Braves last night. The aforementioned Spencer Schwellenbach pitches 6 2/3 innings, strikes out 9. At one point, he retired 19 straight hitters. The third Braves pitcher since 1961.
Wow.
To retire 19 hitters in a row in a game. And I don't know who the other 2 were. I've not seen that, but regardless, that's 6 1/3 consecutive
Mowing them down.
no-hit innings. That ain't bad. Speaking of
Kid Merker in the mix then?
quite possibly.
When did you say that the dates were on this?
Since
He threw a no-hitter, right? Or no?
he threw
Not a perfect, a no-hitter at least, but maybe not.
Yeah.
I guess maybe not the perfect game is where I was thinking.
Yeah. And speaking of no hits, Raisel Iglesias has now retired 35 straight hitters coming out of the bullpen. That's what you like to see out of your closer. And, for a team that obviously came into the week with some question marks after losing Austin Riley for a pretty good while with that fractured right hand, Gio Urshela has really kind of stabilized third base as well as you could ever expect. But, this starting pitching and this pitching staff really kind of picked things up against supposedly, the best team in the National League East. And, on the basis of their still 6-game lead in the division standings. I guess you have to say that they are, but you just took 2 out of 3 from them, and you get to go to their place for 4 more next week. And that's got to be on their mind.
Absolutely. And I mean, if nothing else, you kind of, it's like Little Mac on Tyson's Punch Out. I mean, you just showed them that you can at least put a lick or two on the big bad bullies in the East this year. So maybe work that into your bench. Like you said, you got 4 games coming up. Those are the last 4, I believe, for the rest of the season. So a chance to get a couple late licks in before you maybe try and start closing this thing out. And if you can whittle some distance, be clutch. Mentor being out, obviously not necessarily the greatest news as well as far as the bullpen, but the bullpen as a whole and the team as a whole seems to be playing better.
Yeah.
And this is a confidence booster and a builder of a series, I would imagine.
You would like to think, and I misspoke, it was 3-2 last night, 3-1 on Tuesday. Phillies won 3-2 on Wednesday. Braves won 3-2 last night. So, I mean, again, really low scoring affairs, but when you're getting the kind of pitching that you are, you don't have to be hitting on all cylinders offensively, but you do have to hit.
Got to get a little something, right? We've seen it, a number of different pitchers this year. It's like, guys, come on, I don't need a ton, but just give me a little bit.
Something. Yeah.
You can't win a game unless you put at least 1 run across. So the fact that they were able to scratch at least 3, you want a little more, but you'll take that and kind of see what happens.
Without question. Astros got more than 3. Oh, by the way, sorry. Tonight, 6:20, back at Truist Park, as Washington comes to town, it's Mackenzie Gore going for the Nats, 7-11 with a 4.66 ERA. Chris Sale, 14-3, 2.62. Going to the hill for Atlanta, and based on what he's done to this point this year, you would like to think that this is going to be another well-pitched affair for the home team anyway. So if they can take advantage of young Mr. Gore, who came over from San Diego in that Soto trade a couple of years ago, maybe the Braves can keep the good vibes going down there in the Battery. As I was starting to say, Houston with a 6-0 win over Baltimore to get that series started. And Eric Getty, Spencer. Chef's kiss. 6 innings, 6 strikeouts as you guys knock Corbin Burns around a little bit for your 9th straight win on the road.
Yeah, not a bad result to get things started in that series, as Houston had dropped a couple to the Red Sox, and so you're thinking, okay, where are they? And this is against, kind of like you just mentioned, one of the presumed favorites in the American League, and so a chance for Houston to kind of flex, its muscle. And then there's some whispers that this team is kind of slowly starting to mirror the early Astros, the 2005 that eventually lose to the White Sox Astros, who got off to a horrific start, had to make this big comeback, but really kind of started finding their stride in the second half of the season. And they've been battling injuries, but they're still hanging in there. 5.5 up now on Seattle. Which I think is also a little bit of an indictment on Seattle. Doesn't seem like they have played well enough to kind of give themselves a shot. It's not like Houston's been playing out of this world. So, I don't know. Win the division, maybe, and then sneak in the playoffs, and who the heck knows what can happen. It's going to be tough in the American League, that is for sure.
6:05 start tonight. It's Hunter Brown going for the Astros, 11-7 with a 3.92 ERA. Cade Povich, 1-6 with a 5.77. going for the Orioles in this one. And as you mentioned, Houston's 5.5 game lead now in the AL West may be more of an indictment of Seattle. Well, Seattle general manager Jerry DiPoto apparently agrees with you. How's it feel to get a guy fired, Wade? Scott Service.
What did I do?
Not necessarily you, but your team. Former Mariners manager Scott Service is
service no longer needed, as they would say. Man,
exactly.
Yeah, they're smack dab in the middle of this race here.
Well, apparently not.
Oof.
Jerry Poto decided that perhaps the Mariners needed to hear another voice. And, you know, if I'm Scott Service in this situation, Jerry Dipoto might be hearing my voice, because it was on a TV crawl that Scott Service found out that his services would no longer be needed.
Oof. That's tough.
8+ seasons into his managerial tenure with the Mariners. But Seattle was up 10.
Yeah.
And now they're down 5.5.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the fan graphs, the actual graph of the season, and on June 18th, when they were up 10, they had a 92% chance of winning the division, and currently 10.9% chance to win the division.
What is the chance of not making the playoffs?
Let's see if we can pull that up here. That might be making the playoffs, but let's see. We'll get back to that. But that is a wild visual just to look at. Yeah, they had an epic collapse, and it's almost like, well, yeah, but I mean, now you're 5.5 games back. I mean, maybe you get the small, interim manager bump. Yeah, percent chances those were to make the playoffs. So Houston roughly 93, Mariners roughly 11. Chances to win the division are roughly 92 and 8.5%. Throw 0.1% out there for the Rangers. Shout out to the Rangers. I'm still trying.
Hey,
10 under 500.
Still defending World Series.
Still defending, yeah, until they officially get eliminated. That is a fact. Blaine is going to be strutting around Main Street for at least a couple more weeks. But it basically is coming down to whether or not Houston now implodes after we saw what the Mariners have done already earlier this year.
Yeah. Seattle went 1-8 in its most recent road trip.
Oof.
And that was what pretty much pushed Jerry Dipoto over the edge, and to go with another former catcher, Dan Wilson, who had been serving as a advisor with the team across its minor league organization. And so they're hopeful that a different voice will have an impact. Obviously, in this room, we are not. So definitely a what have you done for me lately type sport, as we mentioned Jason Hayward in TDIBH.
Mm-hmm.
2 nights ago, his pinch hit home run gave the Dodgers a 6-3 win over Seattle. Is that right?
Sounds right. I mean, we've reached the point. Did Seattle play? Yes. Then they probably lost. Yeah.
I just don't remember if it was 2 days later, he gets released to make room on the active roster for Chris Taylor, who was coming off from an injury. So, been a tough back half of the career for Jason Hayward, but he did win a World Series championship with the Chicago Cubs, and he's kind of got that to hang his head on. I mean, he will be a hero in Chicago for a long time. I'm wondering if maybe you bring him back home to finish things up. The Braves could probably use another stick. So,
yeah, you ain't referring to neither services need there. Yeah, I think it's a lot of fans still in this area that have a lot of fond memories of that guy. And if he's serviceable, if he's usable, yeah, I mean, probably there are presumably worse options out there.
I would like to think so. Finally, Garrett Cole picks up his 150th victory last night as the Yankees defeat Cleveland 6-0. He is the 4th active major league pitcher with at least 150 victories. The other 3 are all over 200. Justin Verlander with 260, Max Scherzer with 216, and Clayton Kershaw with 212. And I'm old anyway, but I'm old enough to remember when 300 wins was a big deal. Garrett Cole is 33 years old, but he's kind of battled injuries. Does he get to 200? And if he doesn't get to 200, does anybody else get to 200? For perspective, Chris Sale is 35. He's got 134 career going into tonight's game.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, right? I mean,
nobody's going to win 300 again.
Yeah, we mentioned that a couple weeks ago when we talked about Verlander and Scherzer kind of being. Verlander is the one guy that maybe with 260 right now, he might be able. He's kind of going the Peyton Manning route. He wants to pitch forever, basically. He wants to get that 300 mark. But beyond him, nobody's getting 300, and it really starts to feel like, there may not be many going forward that approach 200 at this point.
Yeah. Those days feel like they're gone. So is our number one of Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back to the Lee Company Studios right here in Columbia, it's the Grab Bag. Stay tuned after the break.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Our number two of the weekend update here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, starts right now from the Lee Company Studios here in Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Reese Patton. In the next segment, we will be joined by TURRON Davenport of ESPN, talking a little Tennessee Titans. Right now, though, it's the grab bag, and man, it started full, and it's just continued to get more and more full, because scrolling through Twitter, as we are wont to do, Tony Vitello ain't going nowhere.
Oh?
The University of Tennessee has extended its National Coach of the Year, National Championship coach through the end of the 2029 season. winning a World Series championship will do that, I reckon. With the new hires we made this summer, we wanted to take care in solidifying what we knew was inevitable, that our athletic department, that being our athletic department and coaching staff wanting to be teammates for a long time, said Tony Vitello. Tony and his staff have developed the country's top baseball program, and we are excited to announce this long-term extension to keep Tony on Rocky Top, AD Danny White said. As an athletics department, we aim to lead the way in college sports, and Tony has created a baseball program that sets the standard across the entire sport. The on-field results in the nation's best conference are unmatched, and the enthusiasm he has brought to Vol Nation has been incredible to witness. No lies told. Yeah, so a 5-year extension for Tony Vitello coming off of a 60-win season, the first Southeastern Conference team ever to do that, the 4th SEC team to win the league's regular season championship, tournament championship, and MCWS, Men's College World Series, all in the same season. So
felt like a gesture of good faith and a job well done type extension.
And also a heck of an investment.
Yeah. And, presumably, unless Texas randomly pulls some shenanigans again, it feels like you're pretty safe with what you got with Tony V. So job well done thus far. And as we've mentioned a few times in recent weeks, he's kind of not really slowed down as far as getting ready for the next foreseeable future here for UT.
Yeah, they seem to have multiple MCWS championships on their agenda, so we'll see how that goes. A lot of news out of Knoxville today. Tennessee announced its men's basketball non-conference schedule for the 24-25 season. And among those games is a December 23rd meeting with the Blue Raiders of Middle Tennessee State at Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena. It'll be the first time those two teams have played since the 2012 NIT, when MTSU went into Thompson Bowling Arena and dealt the hosts a 71-64 loss. So I don't know if that's why it's been almost 12 years since they played or not, but at any rate.
Vividly remember camping out for tickets when Tyler Smith and the Vols came to Murfreesboro, 2008, I think it was, and half the town of Pulaski was up there it felt at the time like, they don't get together very often. And then when we read this release here, it just 8 all-time meetings, now number 9 on the horizon. It just feels like they should potentially be playing more. I know there's a lot of universities in the state to kind of spread the love, so to speak, but it just feels like they should have had more encounters over the years.
Now, are you looking at an MTSU release?
Looking at the Vols.
Oh, okay, because I'm seeing that UT is 9-2 all time against the Blue Raiders.
Sorry, wrong sentence there. Yeah, so I shorted them by 2 games.
Yeah,
I apologize for that. I was looking at Western Carolina. No disrespect to the Catamounts, folks. But yeah, MTSU is not still, so 11 versus 8, they've only played 3 more games in that sense. Unfortunate there.
Well, I know that sometimes there are discrepancies. I think there is a discrepancy in the UT-MTSU women's series. There are 2 games that one program is counting that the other is not
counting,
strange reason, that kind of thing, and those things happen from time to time. So I was just, when you said that, I just thought you might be looking at it.
Yeah, one school was pulling a little shenanigans. We lost that one, so we just conveniently not going to count that one.
Yeah, that was an exhibition.
Yeah, that was purely an exhibition, folks.
Yeah. Tennessee playing 13 non-conference games. They got Gardner-Webb coming. They will play a home-and-home with Louisville, the first one in Louisville on November 9th. Montana, Austin Peay, They are playing in Nassau in the battle for Atlantis. Also in that field are Baylor, St. John's, and Virginia. UT Martin goes to FCC TBA. They've got Syracuse in the SEC AC Challenge. They'll play a neutral site game at Madison Square Garden against Miami in the Jimmy V Classic. They've also got Illinois, and that should be an interesting ball game. And like you said, they've got Western Carolina coming into town on December 17th, prior to that December 23rd matchup with MTSU. As we mentioned, the grab bag is pretty heavily UT dominated, because we talked to you on Monday about offensive lineman David Sanders Jr. committing to the Vols, and a linebacker flipping from Alabama to the Vols as well, a 4-star. Well, they picked up a 3-star cornerback earlier today, Anis Kananabany, Konanabanny. Again, a 3-star who I think we lost connection. Are we back, Mark?
You are here.
Have we been here all along?
No.
Okay. I don't know what happened.
We lost you for a few seconds.
Okay. I apologize. I'm not sure what took place, but yeah, we're
too long didn't read. Vols are killing it on the recruiting trail, and it seems like they're only going to get better, especially if they can somehow find a way to end up in the college football playoff this year.
Yeah, which a lot of people seem to feel like is a distinct possibility. So, news out of the Southeastern Conference office earlier today: rowing is the newest league sport. Apparently, it is a sport that a quarter of your members have to participate in to be a conference sport. And with the addition of Oklahoma and Texas to Alabama and Tennessee, you have that 4 of 16 now. Alabama and Tennessee had been rowing in the Big 12 with Oklahoma and Texas.
Now we're good to go. The Vols especially, super random, but Pulaski has produced 2 UT rowers over the years. Really? Kristen Coggin and a good friend of mine, Philip Holte, both have rowed for them over the years, and kind of cool in the sense that they were already doing it. They were already treating it, like it was a quote unquote, it just means more SEC type caliber sport. And now it's just officially being recognized beginning in May of 25 for their first championship, it sounds like.
Yeah. 22nd sport, 13th women's sport it's the 22nd sport to be sponsored by the SEC, the 13th women's sport in which an SEC championship will be conducted. And like you said, they will contest that in May of 2025. So interesting stuff. Unfortunately, this time of year lends itself sometimes to some police blotter-ish stuff. And out of Clarksville comes news that Austin P assistant Pat Cooper has resigned after being arrested earlier this weekend on human trafficking charges. Among 6 people arrested in a Tennessee Bureau of Investigation undercover operation, charged with 1 count of trafficking for sexual servitude. TBI's operation focused on identifying individuals seeking to engage in commercial sex acts with minors. Officers placed decoy advertisements on known websites known to be linked to commercial sex. Michigan from 2013 to 2017 under Brady Hoke and Jim Harbaugh. All Big Ten selection in 2017. New assistant under new Govs head coach Jeff Ferris. This ain't good.
No, not good. And swift move from all parties in regards to Austin Peay severing ties there with his resignation on Sunday. So never good. This is always a super unfortunate and real kind of sensitive story for a variety of reasons. And Austin Peay presumably, banking on the services of this guy.
Co-offensive coordinator.
I mean, man, talk about.
He wasn't like an analyst or something.
Yeah, it wasn't super low on the coaching depth chart, as it were. So that is a tough situation deep into camp. I mean, presumably, I'm assuming they don't play this weekend, but I imagine next weekend. So Austin Peay, just 10 days-ish roughly from the start of your season, you're now looking to proceed forward without one of your top coordinators.
Yeah, the timing on top of everything else is not great. Like you said, I'm not sure when they open their season. I'm pretty sure it's next week. I don't know who it's against. And I should, but I don't. And it's great radio as I.
Well, I was going to say, either way, it won't be. Either way, presumably it's going to be a little more difficult of a situation, regardless of who your opponent is.
They open a week from tomorrow at Louisville.
Good luck to the Govs.
Yeah. Speaking of offensive linemen, on another note, business with Patrick Mahomes is good.
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs center Creed Humphrey has signed a deal that will make him the highest paid center in the National Football League. I mean, I wouldn't know who the highest paid center in the National Football League was before Creed Humphrey, but he has agreed to a 4-year, $72 million deal.
I mean, it kind of goes back to that old school deal, right? I mean, you keep your quarterback happy, and what keeps him happy? The offensive line. And so you take care of your offensive line, especially at the center position, you're going to be in pretty good shape. So they've had a weird offseason, but this seems like one of the better moves that they've had all offseason.
It has been a weird offseason for the Chiefs, but Humphrey, a 2-time Pro Bowl selection, obviously a 2-time Super Bowl winner, and he surpasses in a pretty big way the previous high of $14.25 million per that had been earned by Philadelphia Eagles Jason Kelce, now retired. So congrats to Mr. Humphrey on securing the bag.
It's a lot of burn-ins you could buy up there in Kansas City, so props to him.
Man, you could have gone all day without saying that. Goodness.
He could buy out multiple restaurants. I mean,
you're making me hungry.
He can have multiple Gates barbecue completely rented out at this point. That is a big piece right there, because like you said, you keep that continuity with Mahomes there. Presumably everybody's kind of copacetic and things are good with them on the offensive line at least.
And that's important, obviously. We've talked a little bit about the New England quarterback situation between Jacoby Brissett and Drake May, one of the 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first 12 picks back in April. Brissett will get the start tomorrow against the Commanders. May will play. First-year Patriots coach Gerard Mayo continues to insist that Brissett is QB1. So I'm not sure what exactly has to happen tomorrow for that to change, but Drake May will, I'm sure, be trying to achieve that.
Yeah, this will be fascinating to see. And they close with the Commanders, but then they open up versus the Bengals on the road. Then they get the Seahawks coming in and the Jets coming in the next 2 weeks. But you presume that Bengals matchup really tricky, so the Patriots would like to have at least some sort of answer heading into what's presumably going to be a hostile environment on September 8th.
Absolutely. Should be an interesting situation, interesting dynamic there, and we'll see how it goes. We will also see how it goes in New Orleans for the Titans here on Sunday, and when we come back from this break here on Main Street Sports Today, we will get some insight on that very thing from TURRON Davenport of ESPN. So stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company Studios after this.
Robertson County Chancery Court is hosting an in-person court auction Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Buy up to 9.46 acres of beautiful Robertson County land, selling in 2 tracts. Each tract includes water and approved soil areas. Located at 4637 Boyd Holland Road. Join us Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Sale subject to court approval. For more details, call 615-384-5650 today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Weekend Update continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton along with Wade Neely, and we are joined now by ESPN's TURRON Davenport to talk a little Tennessee Titans again as they head into their final preseason matchup of the season Sunday down at New Orleans. TD, what's going on? TD, can you hear us? Mark, can TD hear us?
I can hear you. How you guys doing?
Hey, there we go. We're doing well, man. We're doing better now. Absolutely. Hey, appreciate you taking.
I'm not sure what the issue was.
Yeah, well, you know, when you're doing something internet based, man, there's no telling what the issues are. But we appreciate you taking some time with us. You know, again, the Titans heading down to New Orleans for their final preseason game on Sunday. Starters did not play against Seattle this past weekend. Going to get a little bit more work this weekend. You know, what are you expecting to see? Who are you expecting to see? What questions are you thinking will get answered this weekend, if any?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of questions that will get answered when you talk about the starters. But, I mean, minus Simmons, Lazarius Sneed, Chidobe Awuzie, those guys won't be playing. But it'll be another opportunity to see the offensive line play together. think that's something that has to continue to work. And then just the overall timing of the passing game has to get better too. So if there's anything to see, it will probably be that. Brian Callahan said they're going to play up to three series. I think if that first drive, if it goes well and he sees some things in the passing game and everything, I think they'll go ahead and call it a day after that, though.
Okay. Do you expect Tyler Boyd to go very much at all, if at all, given that he's, not been available for some portions of this preseason?
Yeah, he was out, but he came back. The bruised foot, he's fine. And he's actually been a big part of practice the last couple of days that we got to see them. So I would expect Boyd to play, and I would imagine they're going to try to get him some early catches. And in my opinion, he's key to the rhythm of the offense and the flow of it, because the easy throws, he's in effect a tight end. He's the guy that's going to work between the hashes and pop open for Will Levis. And Levis has really relied on him on some of the drives that we've seen him do in 2 minute and those types of situations.
Tron, I'm curious, we come into this final game in the preseason. Who are a couple guys, maybe one, maybe a couple, that really need to have a decent showing in your mind, or else they're not going to be around the Tennessee Titans locker room much longer?
Yeah, I think Matthew Jackson is a guy. This safety situation is intriguing because they signed the veterans there and Adams and Diggs, but none of them are playing special teams, right? And so Elijah Molden was a starter, and he's kind of relegated to a special teams and a reserve role. But I think Matthew Jackson. I think you also look at some of the guys, like it's unfortunate Otis Reese probably won't play, but Chance Campbell is going to need to continue to stand out the way he has. I think you look at other guys like Quentin Bohanna is going to need to stand out. TK McClendon probably won't be available because of the turf toe, but the depth on that D-line is not there, right? I think Trey Avery, Gabe Judy Lally, those guys are in a competition for the corner spot behind, Jarvis Brownlee Jr. and McCreary and the other starters. So those are a few names that pop off right off the top.
You mentioned, real quick, you mentioned Chance Campbell. I wanted to ask, how much of him showing out the way he has done in these first two preseason games in camp, how much extra good graces could that buy him, or the coaches kind of take what you've seen and just take it with a small grain of salt? I guess I'm just curious, how impressed should we be with his efforts thus far?
Yeah, actually, Brian Callahan said that he didn't realize that he was the player that he is. So it's been a pleasant surprise for the head coach. I think when you look at Chance Campbell, you should put stock in what he's doing, because you're finally seeing him healthy and he's comfortable, and that's why you see him standing out. And he's a playmaker. The RAS score is a relative athletic score that everybody likes to use. His is high. He's a high IQ player also. He's someone I would absolutely imagine can go out there and shine.
You mentioned Matthew Jackson being a guy who's kind of on the bubble, and I'm sure that there are a lot of Titans fans who are really rooting for him as a Hillsborough High School graduate, a local kid. So hope that the bubble pops in the right way for him, and that he can do something on Sunday to kind of help bring that about.
Yeah, his special teams aspect is really going to be something that should help him. He and Mike Brown, it's interesting, that competition there, and it's all a numbers game. Like they keep 5 safeties, right? Or 6 safeties. Is he the 6th guy? I think that's what it comes down to.
Offensively, and in that running back room in particular, TURRON, obviously Spears and Pollard are good, but Haskins, Chestnut, and now Small, the rookie out of Tennessee, the undrafted free agent. I mean, how many of those guys do they keep?
Yeah, I think 4 at the most. It's going to come down to Haskins and Chestnut. And special teams again is an aspect where one of those guys will be able to pop out if they do keep 4. I think if they just go on pure running ability, Chestnut is the guy. Callahan even said that himself. So that's the way I look at it.
I'm also curious, TURRON, we've mentioned special teams a couple of times in regards to roster spots. What can you tell us, where do the Titans stand in terms of kick returns? We've seen a decent return or two here in the preseason. I'm curious who fills those roles and how aggressively do the Titans go after kick returns as far as their strategy goes in the season?
Well, one of those guys, actually the one that had the best return was Kearis Jackson, and he has a bruised knee, so he probably won't be out there on Sunday rather. So that will hurt them. But I mean, it comes down to like the guys I seen back there recently. Obviously Jaquan Jackson, Traylon Burks was back there, Tajay Spears, Sam Schnee, who probably won't make the roster. And actually Jabari Small was back there as well. So, those are a couple guys that probably won't make the roster, but I think it's going to come down to Jackson, Spears, and Burks, and they'll probably find somebody else to get back there too.
TURRON Davenport of ESPN joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. TURRON, what has this preseason camp been like for Traylon Burks from the standpoint that, maybe the pressure of being with the ones hasn't been there? How have you seen him respond to his situation this time around?
No, I think the main thing is that he's been healthy, and that's what he said when we spoke to him. So that's step number one. Obviously, he's gotten banged up, had to leave practice towards the end a couple times, but I think he's just finding a way to stay involved. And yesterday was a good example. They were running team period, and it was 2 minute, and he had a nice release. He got open, and he caught a nice extension on a slant, and just kept the ball rolling. And I think that's what you need to see from him. So as far as pressure, I don't think there's any pressure. I think he's really laid back and relaxed and just having fun out there, and that's exactly what he'll tell you if you ask him.
Is there anything that can be learned in the sense that this is a road preseason game and then the Titans open their season on the road as far as just getting in a rhythm and a routine with a new coaching staff? Is there anything in your mind that is there to be gleaned, or is this kind of business as usual?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what Callahan said. One of the things they're looking forward to is being in a loud environment and making sure that their communication is right. It's always tough when you're in a place like the what's it called now? Caesars Dome. And when you're in a place like that where it's really loud. So that communication is tough. And I think even, for the defense, and Kenneth Murray Jr. being the guy who is the communicator, he has to make sure that he's able to relay calls. And then to Chance Campbell and the other guys, wearing the green dot, it's going to be something for that. And then just the operation, the game day operation part of it, and just the whole itinerary of flying out and making sure all of that. Callahan's a first-year head coach, so this would be his first opportunity to make sure all of that is in line.
From that standpoint, TURRON, with him being a first-year head coach and his first 2 preseason games having been at home, did the schedule kind of break wrong for the Titans as far as that goes? Would you not like to have had that experience maybe a little earlier in the preseason?
No, I'm never one to say the schedule broke wrong or broke right. End of the day, you just got to play what's in front of you. And, he's going to have his first road game and first home game at some point in the year. So why not have it be, right off the bat? That way you could go ahead and knock it out and get it over and done with.
There's been some discussion, I guess, about the quarterback situation behind Levis. And it feels like at this point, the question is whether they're going to keep a third quarterback, because it feels like to me Mason Rudolph is your backup. I can't imagine there really being a whole lot of debate to that. What do you feel like the situation is with Malik Willis at this point as it relates to the Titans?
Yeah, I think Rudolph is the backup. The way it basically is going to boil down to is if they keep the third quarterback, they'll keep Willis. I think they do keep him and continue to develop him. And Rudolph is on, a short-term deal. So it's not like, he's the guy there for the long-term future. I think it's been refreshing seeing Willis and the throws that, he made a throw yesterday that was a beautiful throw down the field to end his team period with a touchdown strike to Bryce Oliver. And you'll see that 7-80 connection on Sunday. They've really been able to, get on the same page. So you have that, and just things are starting to settle into place. You know, even just talking to Willis for the first time, he's just really comfortable and detailed with his answers when you ask him different things. And you could just tell that he's just finding his way, and even the processing side of things. Like sometimes he does see things late still, and uses his arm strength to rifle it in there, but he's getting rid of the ball quicker and believing what he sees quicker, and that was really the main thing for him.
As you've worked through this preseason camp, who has caught your eye that you might not have expected to do so as you went in, TD?
Bryce Oliver has really stood out. He's a guy out of Youngstown State. He's the all-time receptions leader. And I think, when you look at him, he's a really good, practice squad receiver that you could call up when you need to. So you got him. Andrew Rupchich actually has stood out as well. With Sadiq Charles retiring abruptly, they plugged him right in at right guard, and he's taken some first team reps behind along with Dylan Radins, and I think he's been impressive. Trying to think of some Jalen Harrell. I think if I have to pick one, it would be him. And I actually, my initial 53 man, I didn't have him in the roster, coming into training camp, but he's a guy that was real easy to put on that 53 man, in my opinion. And he's shown a lot. And yesterday, he beat J.C. Latham, off the edge and would be sacked towards the end for the first team offense period. So, that lets you know he's definitely doing something.
There was a little bit of buzz when Shane Ray was signed as a free agent. Is he going to make this team? Because I don't think I've heard his name since.
Yeah, I don't think he makes the team. It's a great story, and he was pretty cool to talk to. We were going back and forth about, how different it is rushing the passer in Canada than it is here, being a yard off the ball the way that you have to be in the CFL. I don't think he makes it, though. He's someone that is kind of stuck behind, your Caleb Murphys, your Rashad Weavers, and your Jalen Harrell.
And I guess Arden Key getting back doesn't help his situation either.
No, not at all. Not at all. Arden Key, now he had a hamstring, and he was out yesterday. So make of that what you want. But I think when Chicago comes around, he'll be ready to rock.
Other than everybody, ending the game healthy, what's one or two things that you think this coaching staff at this point in the preseason would maybe like to see or not like to see, I suppose, as we shore things up ahead of that week 1 opener?
I think they want to see the passing game be in sync. And I'm talking about Levis and the passing game, not Rudolph and Willis. That's nice, but the fact of the matter is those guys aren't going to be on the field. So they're gonna work to get Ridley. Ridley's going to get some touches, especially on this first drive. I would imagine not Burks, but Boyd as well. So that's what I would think. Now, as far as what they don't want to see, I would say that O-line getting collapsed. That's something that they extremely that would be extremely bad for them.
And it would be extreme, not that it really matters, but from a fan base standpoint, I don't think anybody wants to see that just because we've seen it so much the last couple of years. TURRON Davenport of ESPN joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When are you getting to NOLA? TD? Hello?
Can you guys hear me?
We can now. Yeah. When are you getting into New Orleans?
Yeah, I'll be there about 1:30 tomorrow. Meeting up with Christian Fulton's dad, Mr. Keith.
Nice.
It's become a routine now when I go to New Orleans. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's fantastic. Well, hey, man, enjoy it, and look forward to getting you on again sometime. Thanks for taking some time with us.
I appreciate it, man. I gotta get back to school shopping for my daughter now. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Have fun with that. We'll talk to you. Hey, let's take our final break of the day here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we'll get you ready for the weekend. Stay tuned after this break.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
He shoots, and he scores!
Robertson County Chancery Court is hosting an in-person court auction Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Buy up to 9.46 acres of beautiful Robertson County land, selling in 2 tracts. Each tract includes water and approved soil areas. Located at 4637 Boyd Holland Road. Join us Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Sale subject to court approval. For more details, call 615-384-5650 today.
It's the final segment of the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. To get you ready for the weekend here, somebody needs to get Keegan Bradley ready for the weekend, because after firing off a 66 yesterday in the BMW Championship to take sole possession of the lead, he has fallen back. Adam Scott has heated up, and Scott leads by 9 strokes here right now, ahead of Bradley and the rest of the field. So Scott taking control of things here to this point.
Yep, and this is going to be a fun tournament. Except Matsuyama dropped out after being right there and, winning last week in Memphis. But they're playing up in Castle Rock, and, they're playing at altitude, so much so that Obear yesterday hits a 418-yard drive with his 3-wood. So they are crushing the ball up there. And I think it should be a pretty fun little tournament. Especially with Matsuyama dropping out. We mentioned a couple times that him playing well at the Olympics and then rolling right into the FedEx St. Jude last week seemed like he was there and primed for the taking, but not meant to be. And so now everybody else kind of scrambling, including, like you said, Adam Scott right there at the top of the leaderboard.
Adam Scott right there at the top. Now, Bradley is 2 under today, 8 under for the tournament, but he's still out. Scott is in for the day at 9 under through 18. So Bradley got a chance to kind of cut into that margin a little bit.
And I just read this, earlier in the week that he was the last man into the tournament. So he was waiting around, like you said, and kind of just like, well, shoot, because if you don't make this, this bye-bye. Season's over with the way this is going now. So be fun to keep tabs on old Keegan. I enjoy watching him play. He's quirky out there on the course.
For sure. Scott with a 63 today, coming off a 68. So he got familiar with things yesterday and then just kind of torched it today. So Alex Noren tied right now with Abear, tied at 3, a stroke behind Bradley. So something to keep an eye on here over the course of the weekend. Little League World Series, I'll be honest with you, I've not quite been as in tune with that because we've not had the local representation there that we had for the past few years. But Lake Mary of Florida, which knocked Goodlettsville out in the Southeast Regional, and Bourne of Texas will play in the United States Finals tomorrow. Venezuela and Chinese Taipei will play in the International Finals tomorrow, and those 2 winners will play Sunday in Williamsport for the International Championship. I think the U.S. has won going back to 2017. Now, I don't think there was an event in 2021, but Since 2017, every year that the Little League World Series has been played, it's been a U.S. team that has won it. So keep an eye on Florida and Texas in that U.S. final tomorrow on ESPN. Should be a lot of fun. Wade, I know you follow tennis a little bit. How much attention are you paying to the U.S. Open this weekend?
None this weekend. Way too much football going on. But give me a couple days and we'll get into it. Get me up there at Flushing Meadow, and we'll rock and roll. This is always kind of the fun after you watch Wimbledon, the Aussie Open, and the French Open. It's finally a chance for everybody to get a look at the world's best on home soil. But yeah, to answer your original question, no, none this weekend. That is a fact.
The final Grand Slam event of the tennis season, right?
Yep.
So, too much football going on.
Too much football going on, and we'll catch it up later in the year or later in the tournament. Give me Coco Golf. There's usually a couple of nice Americans that make runs in this thing. Francis Tiafoe and some others over the years. So we'll keep tabs on it, and if I somehow slip on my tab keeping, I'll just fire off a text to Bill Riddle, and he'll bring me up to speed. And then on Monday or Tuesday, you'll think I watched U.S. Open all weekend long. That's how good of a job he can do. So he props me up.
It's interesting that you mentioned Coco Gauff, because the way the Olympics went for her, I would imagine she's particularly motivated in this event.
You would think. Man, she really was hoping for a better showing. Maybe not even necessarily win. Obviously, the goal is to win it, but man, even potentially getting further, and she's done well. She kind of burst onto the scene with a solid performance at the U.S. Open a couple years ago, when she was still in her very young age. So, 4 years ago, she was 16, basically busting on the scene at Flushing Meadows. So, presumably, she makes a good run. She deep down, motivation-wise, would love to obviously make a get back.
Absolutely. Too much football, as you mentioned. Again, we are both headed to high school contests as soon as we get packed up here in the Lee Company studios. You're going to Page, Giles County. I'm going to Oakland Independence. But tomorrow, and we talked a little bit with Chris Lowe of ESPN about this yesterday, Florida State and Georgia Tech will play over in Dublin. That's a 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff on ESPN. And I will tell you, I'm a little excited to see DJU under center for Florida State after, leaving Clemson and going out to Oregon State and now coming back cross country again. And I assume this is his final year of eligibility. I can't keep up anymore.
Yeah, hard to say. It feels like, just when you think somebody's exhausted of eligibility, they're able to get one back. So presumably, whether or not that means eligibility expired or maybe he takes it to the pros remains to be seen.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see what he's able to do in Mike Norvell's offense and with the other folks that are going to be around him in that. And obviously, I presume, as you said, that Florida State and Clemson play. And that will certainly shape up as an interesting matchup. We talked earlier this week about Delaware State and their travel issues as they tried to get out to Hawaii for a midnight matchup, 11 o'clock p.m. our time on Saturday night. Well, I'm told by some pretty good authorities that they did get out there Wednesday, but it just kind of compressed their preparation and their other plans for obviously being in Hawaii.
Yeah.
You don't just want to go out to Hawaii, play a game and come home, but losing that day kind of lost some of that flexibility. So hopefully they will still be able to have a good time. But the 1-10 Hornets taking on the Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii, it looks like that one's on pay-per-view. So good luck finding it at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. But they are there. The game will get played. And in between Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Delaware State, Hawaii, you've got McNeese and Tarleton State on ESPN2 at 2:30. You've got Montana State and New Mexico at 3 o'clock Central Time on FS1. North Alabama, under former MTSU offensive coordinator Brett Dearman, taking on Southeast Missouri State in Montgomery, I assume at the Crampton Bowl. 6 o'clock Central kickoff. That one's on ESPN as well. FAM and Norfolk State play in Atlanta. That's a 6:30 kickoff on ABC, ESPN3, and ESPN Plus. And at 7 on the CBS Sports Network, it's the Nevada Wolfpack taking on Atlantic Coast Conference member Southern Methodist. So, like you said, plenty of football.
Yeah. This is going to be the fun week because went to a couple middle school games last night. We got high school tonight. We got college tomorrow. And then you sneak in a little Titans preseason on Sunday just to kind of get the muscle memory going. Real quick, you mentioned Florida State. They're favored by 10.5 in that game versus Georgia Tech.
10.5?
10.5. And then SMU is a pretty big favorite versus Nevada. Those will be the two games that pique my interest in terms of watchability. Other interesting note, Oregon was originally supposed to be the opponent in this Hawaii game. Delaware State's kind of filling in to the last minute. So they're getting paid handsomely, I'm assuming, or getting paid decent enough to do so. But, man, it sounds like it's been a rough trip for them.
Say the least.
Hawaii is favored by 40, so it could be even rougher after Saturday night.
10.5 Florida State.
Versus the
we talked to Chris Lowe yesterday, and he was talking about the job that Brent Key has done at Georgia Tech. And I kind of feel I'd not be surprised if that's a one-possession ball game.
These week 0 games. A couple of years ago, we saw Northwestern knock off Nebraska, which was the Scott Frost end of that tenure. Basically, that kicked it off right there. This is a conference game in week 0, and you're playing in Dublin. There's a lot that could go against Florida State here in sense of new quarterback, new system, new personnel, playing on the road, playing out of the country. I would not be shocked. I think Florida State is probably going to cover that number, but I would not be shocked, to your point, if Georgia Tech comes up and plays well. We saw Georgia Tech with a couple of nice wins last year, including the Mario Cristobal fail to take a knee game, of course. So G-Tech is improving, but it will be curious. They're favored, an underdog by about 10.5 points.
They are improving, and they can take advantage if you
100%.
something out there for them. Yeah. Scrolling through Twitter as we are wont to do. The NFL apparently has taken action against a couple of players for violations of the league's personal conduct policy. Rams offensive lineman Alaric Jackson has been suspended for 2 games. Cardinals receiver Zay Jones has been suspended for 5 games. Jones arrested last November, charged with misdemeanor domestic battery. The charges were subsequently dropped, but the league conducted its own investigation and decided on that 5-game suspension. Again, Jackson will come back for the Rams' Week 3 matchup with the 49ers. So the NFL protecting the shield.
Yeah, keeping things moving. Arden Key, your old news. You're back in our good graces, but we got some new folks we got to get taken care of right as we come into the end of the end of the preseason. Bears over the Chiefs last night. Saw a couple clips of the Colts. They did beat the Bengals, but Anthony Richardson had some not great throws. Let's just put it that way.
I kind of picked up on that, on social media channels last night as I was watching some other stuff. But yeah, Richardson was kind of getting panned a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, Jordan Battle jumped in front of a pass that, it's preseason. Yeah, he's a guy that basically played a handful of games last year and is coming in, but that's a throw that was signed, sealed, and delivered to the Bengals, and Jordan Battle ran it back in for a touchdown. The good news is it's preseason, so you can clear that up because a lot of folks are thinking they could be sneaky good in that AFC South. But if he's going to make throws that kind of get you in trouble like that, it's going to be that much more difficult to come back and win those games at that point.
If you are a legendary NFL coach, you no longer have to wait as long to be recognized as such. The Pro Football Hall of Fame announced Friday that it has revised its selection process moving forward, reducing the required waiting period for potential coach inductees from 5 years to 1. This from a CBSSports.com report. That's interesting to me from the fact that what if you're not necessarily done coaching? 5 years is a lot more likely to decide, I'm not going back. 1 year, as in Bill Belichick, who would now be eligible next year.
Mm-hmm.
What if you wind up inducting somebody who winds up coaching again?
Yeah, would you be shocked if Pete Carroll or Bill Belichick end up coaching in the next year or two? I wouldn't be floored.
I wouldn't be floored if either of them did. I feel like Pete Carroll is more likely to be done than Bill Belichick is because I really don't feel like he wants to go out the way he did.
Yeah, I get the sense that...
especially considering he was supposedly in the mix for some different situations that didn't necessarily pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at you, Atlanta.
Little courtesy interview from Arthur Blank there.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way he wanted to wrap it up. So I think he coaches again. I don't know where. I don't know how well.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he brings TB12 with him. But
never say never, I suppose.
No, don't worry. But I think he coaches again. So the change in the waiting period likely has to do with the age of coaches, considering most are much older than players when they finish their NFL careers. And, I get that. But again, you can coach a lot longer than you can play too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, and these are the two, that we're really penciling in here with Belichick and Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is kind of interesting because I'm like you. I could see Belichick for sure hopping right back up. So I'm not sure what to make of that just yet.
Yeah, I'm not either. Now, Andy Reid isn't as chronologically advanced as Belichick and Carroll, but and I feel like when he finally steps down at Kansas City, he's done.
Yeah.
But the way Belichick and Carroll to a lesser degree ended their situations at Seattle and New Orleans. New England, excuse me. Like I said, I feel like Belichick definitely wants to coach again. Carroll, I'm less sure about. Reid is probably the next oldest guy that I can think of that this would really apply to. And I don't think there's any question that when he's done, he's done. So that's...
Yeah, it feels like there's zero consternation with him as we get ready to move forward.
That's going to do it for Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia for this week. Be sure and check out PulaskiCitizen.com for Wade's coverage of the Bobcats and Patriots tonight. Be sure and check out, as well as Richland and Lincoln County, which we hear gets interesting all of a sudden. Also, we will have Murray County coverage on MainStreetMurray.com. We will see y'all next Monday, 2 o'clock, right here. Have a great weekend.